Welcome to the only news network the government can't control. Now that we're halfway through 2025, what better way to celebrate than with a mid-year recap of the most exciting events so far. I'm Brian Phillips, and you're watching the goddamn news! Starting off, Pokemon scalpers are still at large and have continued to ruin the hobby of Pokemon card collecting. Luckily, we at GDN have footage of these bastards, so that together we can collectively shame them for ruining a children's card game.
I have $30,000 in credit card debt. When they call, I tell them I can't pay it back yet. Credit card debt. Tomorrow I may buy myself a dining room set. Or this Boba Fett. Credit card debt, credit card debt, credit card debt.
At the beginning of February, the most shocking trade in the history of sports occurred when Luka Doncic was traded to the Lakers for Anthony Davis. Probably one of the most head-scratching trades to ever occur, but it's real. Luka became a Laker, and Anthony Davis became an official Maverick. Obviously, this didn't help either team in the NBA Finals, but it did play a role in helping the Oklahoma City Thunder win a championship for the first time since 1979. And speaking of the NBA, Michael Jordan's son was arrested 2 days after this abysmal trade. The two aren't correlated in any way, but I just found it funny that 48 hours after this shameful decision, Marcel Jordan was arrested in Matlin, Florida.
Well, we gotta search everybody's thing.
Nah, you can check under there. You can check under there. It ain't shit. It's just a big dick and some big balls, bro.
He was initially charged with a DUI and possession of cocaine, as well as resisting an officer. However, later tests revealed the substance in question was actually ketamine, leading to an updated charge of ketamine possession. Obviously, he tried to use his daddy's fame to weasel his way out of any consequences, which might have worked considering he got out on a $4,000 bond and was requested to enter a substance abuse program. They say God works in mysterious ways, and there's no stronger evidence of this than with our next story. A ceiling collapsed earlier this year in a Washington State movie theater during a showing of Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah. Figure out how.
This could have been a tragic event ending in death. However, because showings for Captain America: Brave New World were smaller than my cock after I've taken a cold shower, there was nobody inside the theater within the danger zone. Just imagine if this had happened during a more popular screening, like with the Minecraft movie. There'd be more corpses in that theater than the Wakanda battlefield after Thanos snapped. But, aforementioned, the Lord works in mysterious ways. He made sure Captain America: Brave New World sucked just enough so nobody had to die. And speaking of bad movies, Pixar's latest film, Elio, set a new record for the studio as the lowest opening for a Pixar movie ever. But what's crazy is that the movie's not terrible. Now, it's certainly no masterpiece by any means, but it definitely didn't deserve this. There was no marketing for Elio, and given the fact that it's an original story competing against two live-action remakes, How to Train Your Dragon and Lilo and Stitch, without a big push from the marketing team, people naturally weren't going to be as receptive to it. This isn't the first time something like this has happened for Pixar. Exactly 2 years ago, they were fighting for their life trying to get people to go see Elemental. And while, thanks to the power of Claude, they were able to break even, they're going to need something more powerful than that if they want the same to happen for Elio. We'll be right back with our recap, but first, let's take a look at our City of the Day. Mesa, Arizona. GTA 6 got delayed until 2026, which means we'll have another whole year of before GTA 6 memes to keep us entertained. YouTube is continuing with their war on ad block, and to celebrate, they announced earlier in June that they'll be testing 30-second unskippable ads. Now, while that is shameless, to say the least, it gets worse. Because after testing their longer ads, it was revealed that an abundance of them were in fact AI-generated scams.
Wow, what you're seeing right now is an ultra-realistic AI robotic dog, crafted by master engineers in Germany.
If there's one thing to take away from this, it's that there's never been a better time to invest in an ad block. This isn't a segue into an ad or anything, I'm just saying if you don't have one, maybe you should consider it. And our final story, some good news, an annoying destructive prankster actually got arrested and is facing real punishment for their series of crimes over the last few months. His name is Tommy Tough-Knuckles, someone I'm sure none of y'all have even heard of, and he's been slapped with 8 criminal charges.
I'm Tommy Tough-Knuckles, and I'm the reason why these egg prices are so high!
Vasquez dumped 50 raw eggs over his head outside this Ralph's Italian Ices here in Center Reach. Then there's the incident up the road inside Winghua Chinese restaurant, where police say he spilled the beans.
Yeah, he just goes into random businesses and makes a mess for employees to clean up. Other than these series of vandalism and him making the conscious decision to call himself Tommy Tough-Knuckles, what finally got him the attention of police was after he filmed a series of videos where he'd asked to enter people's homes stating he's having some kind of an emergency, then filming them to humiliate and shame them for their kindness when they would let him use their bathroom or something. I'm not familiar with the logistics of this because that would mean I'd have to watch his godforsaken content. But the gist of it is, he's being charged for being a piece of shit and filming others non-consensually. And that is great. I hope he gets the maximum sentencing possible so that more degenerates like him don't follow suit, and those that do face real consequences for their actions. But anyways, that about wraps up the most interesting stories of 2025 so far. But before we go, in honor of Pride Month, we'd like to dedicate our closing segment to bringing awareness to one of the many types of sexual orientations, asexuals. Because just like me, they don't give a fuck. This is asexuality. Asexuals are people who experience little to no sexual desires. Not to be confused with aromantics who experience little to no romantic desires. Many often piece the two together, but actually they're separate. An asexual might not be attracted to a person sexually, but can still have romantic desires, while on the flip side, a person can have sexual intentions, but non-romantic ones. Now, it's easy to assume asexual people have zero interest in sexual activity, which isn't true. While most just genuinely don't care about steaming hams, there are some who don't mind it, and kind of ties back to what I said earlier about them just not giving a fuck. It might not bother them, or they simply want to make their partner happy. In some cases, they might enjoy the emotional attachment, because engaging in a little coitus isn't sexual to them, but rather an act of pleasure. There's a million different reasons for a million different people, but it boils down to being defined by anything other than sex and how they can live their whole life without ever needing it. Outside of having an amazing flag, I think asexuals have some of the most amazing personalities within the community, as not being labeled based on who you're sexually attracted to helps focalize other qualities of your character. In fact, some of the most interesting and well-written characters in media are in fact asexual. Of course, this is all still opinion-based. If you find someone interesting because they play for the same team, by all means, go wild. I'm not here to dismiss your preference, but personally, life's just better when you don't have to care about who's getting forked at night. I'm Brian Phillips, and this has been the Goddamn News.